Hello, everybody. I am really excited to share this episode. This is going to be the last one that I record in 2021. I cannot even believe it, you guys. And in this episode, want to take you back to a different time, which was actually September of 2018. So I launched Authentic Conversion, my business now, in January. So it was actually January 2nd, 2018. And by September of that year, I actually had my first $50,000 sales month in my business. And I want to share just kind of like some of the stats, the figures, the details of what that looked like. And I will just start by saying my coaching program was a fraction of the price that it is now. I was, what was that, 9 months into my business. And I just want to kind of like set the scene. Okay. So things looked much different than they do today. If you are maybe like looking at this or you've listened to the other podcasts and I've talked about having a multi 7-figure business, but I just want to share like kind of some of the beginning parts of the timeline. And I know that so many online coaches, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, right? Like they put a ton of pressure on themselves in order to get likes and followers and comments and build a huge email list. And I just want to start by saying that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to the online coaching industry, right? I see these ads like popping up all the time from, I'm using air quotes, like fitness business coaches, health coaching business coaches, and all of that. And most of it is just a bunch of garbage. I came across one yesterday. Actually, it was like an ad that popped up in my stories or something. So I clicked on the profile. I was like, who's this guy? It was a, super young looking guy, had clearly bought followers and comments. Like you can kind of tell that stuff. But look, showing in, suits and nice cars and like all of this stuff. And I'm just so, I feel like I'm personally just so over the dirtiness of the business coaching industry right now. And I have a big secret project that I'm working on because I want to have a positive impact in that arena as well, which I will be sharing with you all next year. But I was like seeing these ads and everything. And I just remember, when I first started doing health and fitness business coaching, it was 2014. There was like no one doing it. There was like 5 options. And then when I launched Authentic Conversion as well, it was still like a fairly unique thing that was offered to the world, is business coaching specific to the health and fitness, wellness, life coaching industry. And now it's, of course, like everyone and their sister is doing it, right? And so I want to take a different stance with you guys. And I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I want to take a little bit of a different stance with you guys and just always make sure that I am clear and transparent with you guys. And I'm always happy to pull back the curtain for you in my own business, which is ultimately why I decided to do this podcast episode today. Okay. So that was like a little bit of an off introduction there. But I kind of went down that rabbit hole because I was like, okay, there's a lot of pressure to get likes and followers and huge email lists. And I was saying there's a lot of smoke and mirrors beyond all of that, right? It's like what things appear to be on social media are very rarely what you actually think they are. And so, like, I have friends in this industry, in the online coaching space, who have an audience, an email list 10 size the time, the 10 size, uh, 10x the size of mine. And I make double or more of the money in my business than they do. I know that for a fact. And I also have friends who have like teeny tiny audiences, way smaller than mine, and they're making 500,000 to $1 million a year and getting very few engagements, like per post, those vanity metrics. So I just want to say that I want to start this by saying that a lot of what you're seeing on social media, particularly Instagram, is just smoke and mirrors. And always do your research when you see ads popping up and things like that. Don't just take things for face value. Okay. So, okay. Now with that, let me pull back the curtains here. And again, I just want to say, like, don't assume people with tens of thousands of followers on Instagram are killing it in their business, because they're often not. And the truth is that likes and followers and big numbers, they don't necessarily mean a single thing in the social media marketing space. And again, I can confirm with you this experience that I have had for myself. So, okay, going in a couple different directions here, but hopefully you're tracking. So I started Authentic Conversion January 2nd, 2018. I had $0. I had no website. I had no marketing budget. And for about 3 or 4 months before I launched the business, I was just creating content. I was showing up every day and I was adding a lot of value. And at the time, I had kind of decided as like I was thinking, okay, well, what worked in my gym? What did I do in my gym when I had that business that helped me become successful? And one of the first things that I did was I started to focus on building an email list. Although I will say it's funny, like I had no idea why that was important when I started my gym. Just someone told me I needed an email list. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And but that was a huge part of my business. And so when I was starting Authentic Conversion, I was like, okay, well, let's start to build an email list. And so I was like nurturing, showing up with valuable content. And then I would create these like little freebies, these giveaways. So when I launched Authentic Conversion, it was not actually with my coaching program. It was actually with my Done For You content service, which you might be a subscriber of. And it's a $47 a month, month-to-month service. And so that's what I was launching in January. I didn't actually launch my coaching program until June of that year. But so I'd spent like September through December just showing up, adding a ton of value. And then I started to say, okay, I'm going to build an email list. So I would create these little freebies, just these little swipe files. And, they're like the holidays were coming up. So it was like Thanksgiving. And I wrote this swipe file for Thanksgiving for people to send out to their email list or post on their social media. So it was kind of like I was doing some of the content for them. And I was just saying, hey, you guys, I created this awesome thing. Here's how it's going to help you. Just send me your email if you want it. I didn't even have like an email service provider set up. I didn't have any landing pages. I was just literally like, send me your email. And people would either drop it in the comments or they would DM it to me. And this actually got me, I would say like probably my first 100 or so emails on my list. And then when I went to actually launch the Done For You content service, I got my goal. The first month was 20 subscribers and I hit 20 on the mark, and it kept growing after that. And then of course, in June of 2018, as I mentioned, I launched my marketing intensive, my coaching program, which again, it was it is a fraction of the price that it is now. It was like so underpriced, but that could be a whole nother podcast episode. But I think that we all have to like go through the process of creating programs that we believe in and building our confidence and all of that stuff. So anyway, so that's kind of what happened. So I launched the coaching program in June. And I actually think that month I think it was about 15K cash collected, but I did about 20K in sales. So I went from just having the Done For You content service, which I was probably generating just a couple $1,000s a month from at that point. It wasn't very much. It was not enough to pay all my bills. Then I launched the coaching program, and that was in June of 2018. By September of 2018, I did 50K in sales. Okay. So that's pretty cool, right? In the 9th month of my business. And I want to just share what my business statistically looked like for you at that point, because I think this is really important for people to hear. So at that time, I had less than 150 people on my email list. I think it was like 147 or 148 or something like that. I had about 2,400 Facebook friends. I had no Facebook group, and I had less than 2,000 followers on Instagram. And I wasn't really regularly using Instagram up until I launched my business. It's still, as you might know from my content, that it is not my personal favorite platform. And so let me just repeat those numbers. Less than 150 people on my email list, about 2,400 Facebook friends, less than 2,000 people on Instagram, and no Facebook group. And I was not running ads. It was 100% organic. And so I want to share, I think, a couple of things that I can attribute the success to. So the first thing was that I was fully committed. I was all in on sharing incredibly valuable content every single day that people connected to. I didn't hold anything back. I wasn't inconsistent. I wasn't like, oh, I'm too tired or I don't have anything to say. It was a firm, firm commitment. And consistency, you guys, is such an important part of making money. It's such an important part of building a business. If you are inconsistent in your content and in your marketing, your audience will perceive that you will be inconsistent in your coaching and in your offers and in your programs. And that's not where you want to be, obviously. So I highly recommend for all of my clients and for everyone here listening to share incredibly valuable content daily that people can connect to. That's how you build a brand. That's how you establish trust. That's how you really ultimately build relationships. And what we have to remember is that coaching businesses are based on relationships. Okay, so it's the first thing that I attribute it to. The second thing that I attribute it to is actually having a strong message that really resonated and connected with my market. And I think for me, it was a couple of different things. I was really speaking at that time. I work with all kinds of online coaches now, but I was really speaking that time to brick and mortar gym owners and in-person trainers. That was more of my market. And I had been that, right? Like I had kind of been there and done that. Doesn't mean you have to have the same experience as your potential clients in order to have a message that resonates with them. But like I knew the story, I knew the pain points, I knew the struggles. And I also knew, I think this was more of like an intuitive thing. I knew that the, old kind of corny tactics of 2014 that some people still use were kind of disappearing, right? Like the hypey messaging in the health and fitness industry, it was going away. And I think I'd already been doing this both in my brick and mortar and in my online coaching business, but I intuitively knew that there was just a time coming where the world was changing and people were not going to be, necessarily like as trusting as they were before, and that people were going to be craving really deep connection. And so my messaging, I would actually say both in the way that I spoke to my audience and in the content that like I gave away and created, was one of those really deep connection pieces where people felt like they were getting a ton of value and also felt really connected to me. And so, of course, and I think this still happens, right? But of course, when people were then looking for a business coach or I, said the right thing, they were coming to me versus other people. And I think that you just should hear that, right? That's going to be true for you as well. When you have a strong message that really resonates with your audience, when they are, actually ready to work with a coach and make that change, of course, you're going to be the coach that they actually choose, right? That's a beautiful thing that you get to create versus if you're inconsistent and your messaging isn't dialed in and then, people go to someone else. We don't want that to happen. The third thing that I think was really helpful was that I did a really good job of establishing my expertise. And that's something that all of you need to do as well. I'm really good at organic, authentic marketing strategy and tactics. And I am really good at coaching around it. I'm really good at expressing it. I'm really good at teaching it. And my clients get great results and they talk about it, right? And that's been a huge part of growing my business as well. And so think about that for yourself. How can you create content and connect with people that does a better job of establishing your expertise and makes you stand out from everyone else, right? We've talked a little bit about differentiation and things like that. So that's one component of expertise building, which actually leads me to the next point, and that I was clearly doing something different in the marketplace. And at the time, most people in fitness marketing were pitching like, and I think this is probably still true to some extent, like Facebook ad strategy or a process that's just not really different from the rest of the competition. Now, more, I think it's like people want to have like either just like super general coaching programs, or they want to have just like one specific tactic, right? Like there's programs that just sell, I'm going to teach you how to make money from a Facebook group, right? And I'm very robust and diverse in my approach because I've had the experience of building a brick and mortar business. I've had the experience of building online coaching businesses. And I know it's never just one little tactic that does the trick, right? So having that more robust approach made me, I would say, different from a lot of what was out there in the space, and it still does, right? And I fully believe, and I preached this, right? I fully believe that authentic organic marketing is it's just a different game that I play with my clients, that I recommend you play with your clients and prospective clients, again, around building trust, establishing connection while actually following like all the systems and strategy that work, which we've talked about in other episodes. And I'm sure we'll talk about again. So, all the things that I'm sharing that attributed to my success, I want you to think about how you can implement these for yourself as well. So, I've covered four. I want to actually touch on two more. So, the first was sharing valuable content that people connected to. The second was sharing or having a message that resonates really powerfully with my audience. The third was doing a really good job with my content of establishing expertise. And the fourth was doing something different in the marketplace, not just saying I'm different, but actually, well, saying that, right? Because people have to understand it, but actually doing something different. And then the next one is operating with extreme integrity and radical trust. And this isn't just maybe what it appears to be. Integrity to me means a lot of different things. It means always doing what you're saying, always doing what you say you're going to do, and keeping your word to yourself, even above all else, right? So when people like later their business, right? I'm using air quotes again. When people later their business, they lose their integrity to themselves. I also think having extreme integrity to your clients is critical. That should go without saying, but having extreme integrity to your audience as well. Again, because if you drop the ball on people and you just kind of come and go when you want to make sales, like you're not going to have a business for very long in this space. And so having extreme integrity in how you show up and when you complete projects, in the way that you show up for not just your audience, but for yourself as well is so important. If I say I'm going to do something, it gets done. And you need to have that integrity as well as that radical trust. And to me, it's like two parts as well. It's building that radical trust with your audience to where, if you offer them a program that's $2,000, like they are going to buy it from you because they just trust you. And the radical trust also goes into yourself, having your own back and trusting yourself to make decisions in your business, trusting yourself to show up, trusting yourself to follow through. All of those things, so critical, contributed to my first 50K month in the ninth month that I was in business. And the last thing for me was having the most amazing mentor. I had like a mindset coach when I was getting started, but I needed a strategy coach. And I found the most amazing woman who had done what I wanted to do. She showed me the path. And literally within 6 weeks of hiring her was my first like big month where I collected 15K cash, 20K in sales. And I love like my clients have so many of those stories as well, where they were just like spinning their wheels and nothing was working, or they'd worked through another program and nothing was working. And then they just come and it's magic. And that's my favorite part of really what I get to do. And the experience of working with this particular mentor who I actually just rehired, it was life changing for me. Right. And so that was a huge component. Had I not found her, had I not gotten those strategic steps for the beginning in place, certainly a few months later, I would not have had my first 50K sales month. I just wouldn't have. Right. And so I just felt like this was really important to share with you it's kind of like a two-sided episode here, right? It's like, I want you to know that the vanity metrics of social media, of numbers and things like that, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter at all, right? Because there's definitely a numbers game to business. It's not like you can have 10 Facebook friends and start posting and make lots and lots of money. Like you do need to have an audience of people. But from my experience and with my clients as well, you often don't need even close to as many people as you think. You don't need all of the like special tactical things like a group to be successful. You don't need any of those things, honestly, but you do need, again, let me repeat this list: highly valuable content, a message that resonates, establishing your expertise, doing something really different in the market and clearly articulating that and articulating it often. You need to be operating with extreme integrity and radical trust, and having an amazing mentor. Like those are the steps. It's not about how many followers you have. It's not about how many likes something gets. And I just see so many clients and prospective clients like torture themselves when building a business, building an audience is absolutely a process. You should not expect to just show up on social media, make a couple posts and then bank, right? Like that's not realistic. And I know that's what you're being sold. It doesn't mean you can't hit six figures in the first 30 days in your business. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. But for that to happen, you don't need these crazy numbers. So I don't want you feeling as you're, whether you're starting to build your business or you've been stuck or struggling for a while or whatever the case may be, I don't want you feeling like you're standing at the bottom of Mount Everest with like nothing to work off of and you got to like climb all the way to the top. It's just like super, super daunting. So even with a very small audience, you can generate huge results in your business if you have the right plan, the right strategy, the right messaging, messaging the right offer. Okay. Those things are really important, as well as like sales skills and that kind of stuff. Right. And so I hope that this inspires you really to dive deeper into not holding yourself back because of audience size and into monetizing the audience that you already have as you continue to build it further. Okay. I truly, truly hope that this gives you hope, maybe, or that it inspires some action that maybe you wouldn't have taken before for whatever reason. And I would love to, as always, hear your feedback on this. If you want to jump on over and connect with me on social media, you can join my free Facebook group, Authentic Conversion Organic Six Figure Fitness Business. And always feel free to send me a DM as well. And I look forward to seeing you, my friends, in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone.